Hello guys, and welcome back to Beyond 23. Today a little different. We sit in London today and have the opportunity to speak to certainly one of a kind, a guy that I've loved for ages. Again, you talk about success, what comes with that, the highs and lows. Not too much that this gentleman has not achieved. An absolute sport tragic, and particularly an English cricket tragic who loves beating the Aussies. So I am blessed, you guys are blessed. Let me introduce you to the great Piers Morgan. To me, with this podcast, I love the impact cricket has had on people's lives. I don't know too many people where, you know, certain countries, they mightn't play cricket or know much about cricket, but in regards to it touching your life in some way, I don't know too many people.
Cricket, to me, has been the most important thing of my life.
Yeah, wow.
Outside of like children and marriage, whatever.
Yeah. Wow.
Because I grew up. So when I was young, I went to a fee-paying school till I was 13.
Yep.
Then I went to a state school.
Yep.
And the significance of that is at the fee-paying school, I played cricket every single day.
Was it part of the curriculum?
Yeah,
same
absolutely.
when I grew up.
You played every day, right? But you were paying for the privilege.
Yep.
And I was a very good cricketer at that age. So I got into the England prep school squad. Never actually got a game. I was in the squad. Fast bowler. Used to model myself on Dennis Lillee. I had two heroes.
Not a bad one to model on.
Dennis Lillee was my bowling hero, and I used to literally model my action on him. And Tony Greig was my spirit animal because he was the England captain.
What a legend.
So my first ever test match. So I just was engrossed in cricket. And my first ever test match, someone asked me, I was with Mike Brearley in the boxes and David Gowan.
Yeah.
And we said, well, what was your first Lord's Test? I said, well, it was my first ever day's Test cricket, 1975. I remember it like it was yesterday. 1975, day 2, Lord's, Tony Greig captaining England, Lillian Thompson opening the bowling for Australia. England batted. Greig got 96. And was doing his signals off Lillee. Tomo bowled about 100 no balls and then bowled the most ferocious Yorker I've ever seen and smashed someone. I think it was Barry Wood or someone's little stump out. Can't remember. But then David Steele came into bat. Remember David Steele?
I never saw David Steele before my time.
Old-looking guy with grey hair and glasses, and he hit 50. And I think he may have even been on debut. It was brilliant. Wow. And it was an amazing sunny day, beautiful day. And I remember I was just completely hooked. So after that, I've been to every year the Lord's Test.
I saw that
since I was about 12 years old.
I saw you post that the other day with the same crew, same bunch of mates.
Same bunch of guys. I mean, we've been going for 45 years. Second day of the Lord's Test. We always sit in the regular stands. We have a great time. And but you know, my love of cricket was like when I was young. Thank you very much. Was completely obsessional. So I used to write to Don Bradman. True story.
Wow.
So I used to write to Don Bradman. I was telling him this at Lord's yesterday, and because I know that he has people has a funny thing about Bradman. A lot of his colleagues didn't get on with him. A lot of the media didn't get on with him. So my experience when I was about 11 or 12, I began writing. I was obsessed with Bradman's stats. I used to read everything about him. I was, how could anyone average 99.94?
Yeah.
So I used to write to him, and he used to write back. I can remember his address, 2 Holden Road, Adelaide, Australia. Right?
Oh my God.
And I used to get these letters from Don Bradman, which I thought was perfectly normal. I used to write to cricketers all the time. I've got letters from every cricketer who's ever lived, and apart from you. So when you write and thank me for this, you can add it to the list.
Their society, you got a text, not a letter.
So, and I used to write to him, and then it was a really fascinating thing that happened where my village team was the nearest team to Sheffield Park. The significance of that was that Lord Sheffield, who owned Sheffield Park, he formed the Sheffield Shield in Australia, right? But he also used to entertain the Australian touring team. First game of their tour was always at Sheffield Park.
Wow.
Entertained by Lord Sheffield, who then formed the Sheffield Shield. So I thought we're going to do a centenary brochure, 1984, for my village team's 100th year. And I was writing to Bradman, so I thought we had 2 cricketers from the village who want to play for England, want to come close, both big Sussex legends, the Langridge brothers.
Yeah.
And I thought, I wonder if I could persuade Bradman to write a foreword to our brochure, right?
Wow.
So I write to him, and a month later, I kid you not, this package arrived from Adelaide. And in it was a 1,000-word typed foreword to our centenary brochure by Sir Donald Bradman. talking all about village cricket in England, how important it was, the language, done all his research, the Language brothers. It was amazing.
What?
And then also enclosing loads of photographs of him from the Sheffield Shield with Lord Sheffield at Sheffield Park. It was amazing. Like a whole treasure trove of stuff. And he said, I hope this helps.
Oh my God.
So after that, I just stayed in touch with him. And I used to write to him quite regularly. And he used to always write back. But if I wrote to him as Piers the young fan, I'd get a handwritten, "Dear Piers, yours, Don."
Best wishes.
If I wrote to him as Piers Morgan, the secretary of the cricket club, I was only 14, but I was the secretary of the club, he would write, "Dear Mr. Morgan, yours sincerely, Sir Donald Bradman," typed. So he had an absolute... And I read these letters sometimes, I've got loads of them, and they're amazing.
Did you meet him?
No, I never met him. I got one letter where he thanks me for inviting him to stay at my family home during the centenary test match, which was news to my parents, who I hadn't cleared this with. But he didn't actually come in the end. And he went, "Unfortunately, I can't make the trip." But it was amazing. I look back on it, and he would talk about Shane Warne and the emergence of a young spinner that was so exciting. He'd talk about breaking his age at golf, 86, I remember. He was still shooting under 86 at golf. But these are like really quite personal letters.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, really unbelievable. And it was, I always tell the story because I say there was clearly another side to this guy, which was incredibly kind and generous and big-hearted. And he said to me that when it approached his birthday each year, or a big significant milestone, whatever anniversary of his last game or first game, whatever, he'd get 100 letters a day sometimes, and he replied to every one.
It's amazing. Like things like that, I think in general, people in general, but athletes particularly, it's not spoken about.
No.
Like the stuff they do behind closed doors, that's phenomenal. That wouldn't happen these days.
No, and I don't think...
It's hard for people to reply to a direct message on Instagram or a text.
Can you imagine sitting down and writing 100 letters?
No chance.
Right, I mean, it wouldn't happen, right?
I'd need someone to write it for me for my spelling.
But I thought you said a lot about Bradman. And Bradman, it was interesting. We had a great lunch. I play in the Dunhill, very lucky to play in the Dunhill Pro-Am this year. And one day got rained off and last year, and so we all got together.
Warney loved the Dunhill.
I'll come to Warney about that.
What a legend.
But we had Beefy was there, Lammy was there, Mark Nicholas, a lot of guys.
Yeah.
And we had a competition about who could name the greatest ever sportsman. They had to give a reason. The greatest ever sportsman from any sport.
Yeah.
So obviously the usual suspects, Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, whatever. And I said, well, to me, I said, the two that I would nominate, one is Sir Don Bradman, because his record was so far ahead of the next
everyone
person
else,
that it's just a massive gap. I said, and the other one with that is Wayne Gretzky, the Canadian ice hockey player, who also had a very big gap between him and number two. I said, if your gap between one and two
in any era
in history is that big, you are probably a GOAT. And it was a really interesting debate, but it was fun. Bradman, to me, remains to me the greatest sportsman of any sport ever for that reason.
Wow. Yeah. If you could interview anyone, would it be
Bradman.
Sir Donald Bradman?
Don Bradman, because I want to talk to him about, he obviously had this incredible eye which made him a brilliant fielder.
Yeah.
And he used to practice by throwing all this, but he used
to
throw a golf ball, a corrugated fence, till it came back true. Now when you think about that, you throw it at an old fence, it's got corrugated bits in it, and it's coming back true because your eye's so good. I mean, that's an amazing thing. And then he'd hit it with, sometimes he'd use a cricket stump.
Yeah, the stump.
I mean, incredible.
Even that, the golf, like you see a lot of players, they will do, the tricks with your bat. You can hit the ball in the face, you go to the edge, you go to the toe. Try and do a cricket ball on a stump is hard enough.
Yeah.
A golf ball,
unbelievable.
Phenomenal. And he's hitting it with a straight bat back and forth.
And he had this incredible self-discipline where he used to, early on, he used to hit a lot of sixes, and then he just decided it was too risky. So he stopped hitting the ball in the air.
Yeah.
So that's why he used to compile these massive scores, because he never gave catches.
Take out a huge way, a form of dismissal.
Hardly ever gave a catch.
It's funny because I talk about that now with T20 cricket. Like when we go and commentate the IPL, I believe your foundation of scoring runs is to not get out, first and foremost. No matter how good you look, if you're not there, you're sitting on the side. Like, why in a power play, yes, you only got two fielders out, why can't you take the smallest of risks? Yes, I want to score runs. Yes, I want to hit the ball hard. Yes, we need boundaries. Why don't you start by hitting it along the ground?
You know why?
The fours are okay. I don't mind 20 off and over.
You know the answer?
Doesn't look as good.
Correct. So it doesn't make you as valuable.
But
so who gets the big bucks?
Yeah, the power players that are
power
hitting
players get the big.
But I'm saying
the
time
crowd
and
want
place.
to be entertained. No, I know.
But is that not entertaining? Like if you're hitting six balls in an over.
Well, this Test match that's about to finish today.
Yeah.
So it's Lord's Test. I don't know when this is going out,
Yeah.
but this is obviously coming to a thrilling finish. But England have had always criticism of Bazball.
Yeah.
I happen to love Bazball, but
I'll ask you on that. Yeah.
But I do like the refined version of Bazball, where they're now seeming like horses for courses.
Time and place,
right? And I think the way that this test was a very normal test match for 3 days in the old school.
Yep.
But they were still scoring about 3.67 and over.
Yep.
Now I remember watching the days of Tavares and those guys. I mean, sometimes 1.5 and over.
Yeah.
So it's all relative.
Yeah.
So I just think cricket has got generally a lot more fast and a lot more exciting.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I'm a purist.
Man.
Honestly, I don't really watch much limited over cricket at all.
Okay.
At all. I'm a Test cricket aficionado. For me, I'm already into Ashes, mate. You're the only Australian that I have allowed myself to be friendly with in Ashes here. I normally have a strict rule.
Yeah, we're not over yet.
Well, I normally
we'll get to that.
Exactly. But I normally have a strict rule. I do not talk to Australians in a friendly way in Ashes here. I just have to get into the zone.
It was funny because when
I want to break your effing arm, Michael.
But that was the way. Exactly right, Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy. That was the way we were brought up as well. It was like you could have. I remember. I think it was Ricky Ponting. It might have been Steve Waugh. One of them, I remember at the start of my career, made it very clear that in and around the Test series, you didn't speak. You didn't walk past, be polite, shake hands.
Wasn't it Alan Border?
Mate, or AB was.
Wasn't it Border who brought in that? I think it was Border that brought in but no more friendly stuff.
Border said it was the most important change in his career. He said at the start of his captaincy, he was, even at the toss, he'd be polite to the opposition captain. And I think it was an Ashes too where he was like, no more.
Yeah.
I'm going to set the tone at the toss.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was what was instilled in us. How do you see, again, this Bazball situation now? I think the wording around it has
well, even Baz doesn't like the word.
And he's a beauty. I love Brendan McCullum.
He's great.
And I think Stokes is a hell of a captain.
Fantastic.
And a hell of a player as well. The brand of cricket, I don't see any different to the Australian team I played with. Hayden, Langer, Ponting, Gilchrist, even our bowlers, Warney, McGrath, the way they bowled, everything was aggressive.
I think it was all about a change in mindset.
Yeah, okay.
So if you took the last 17 tests before Stokes took over, and Joe Root's one of my favourite cricketers ever.
What a player as well.
And he had a really tough time as captain. It was a hard period for England, and I think it affected his batting. I think the whole thing was quite a miserable period for everyone.
You think the leadership or the stuff that come with it off the field?
I think everything that comes around it. I think he's a very good cricket captain, Joe Root. I think the whole thing was just like, it was just miserable. We lost a lot of Test matches. We won 1 in 17 or something.
Yeah.
So the difference is, I think that they wanted to instill McCullum and Stokes and Rob Key, who appointed them. So Rob Key's a very important part of this. He's the guy that appointed them.
High performance manager? Is that his role?
I think
something like that.
I don't want to call him. All I know is he brought in McCullum and Stokes.
Okay,
right?
he's making those decisions.
So he's certainly a key part of that. And I think that it was about changing a mindset from a negative mindset where we just kept losing and it just seemed no way to get out of this.
Yeah.
And playing not very exciting cricket as well. So it was like a lose-lose.
Yeah.
To a mindset where we're not going to have many draws. We're going to play to win.
And if we lose,
we're going to back ourselves however many we need to chase.
Yeah,
and look at this series already.
Phenomenal.
Chase down nearly 400, right? Because they have a mindset. And I know a lot of the players personally, and the mindset is there's nothing we can't chase. Now, that may well have been the mindset of the great Australian team.
Yeah.
But you pummeled us for nearly 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's mindset changing. In 2005, we had a mindset change, which was Michael Vaughan came in and he was like, we can beat these guys. We have the tools to beat.
You don't fear losing as well. When you can let go of that feeling, the game just seems to be not as difficult, or the risk is not as risky. Like you don't. Sometimes I think, like people talk about Australians in World Cups or Ashes or big moments. I just think we probably fear losing less than every other team.
Yeah.
We understand that you played the wrong shot and you have structure and routine around your innings that you train every day, but I just don't think we were scared of losing a World Cup.
Because you've got a great record, which always helps. I mean, if you look at, there's a great book about the All Blacks called Legacy.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's an amazing book, not that long, but it's an amazing book about what it takes to become the biggest percentage win team in any sport ever. I think at the time he wrote it was 86% win record for the All Blacks in history. So when you have that, you've got an aura that's inbuilt.
It's instilled.
But they also had the kind of no dickheads rule. They had the whole sweeping the sheds rule, where everyone would sweep the sheds afterwards. They had a lot of rules which they built around to preserve the aura of being the top dogs.
Yeah.
You guys, in that period through the 80s and 90s, when you were just killing us, in a ride up to really 05, I felt, when we really,
what a series.
Finally had it. Great.
I hate that was my first Ashes series.
I know.
Because it was too special, where I think I wish I was further into my career, knew my game a bit better, because that was the best series I ever played in.
Yeah.
And I lost it.
It was incredible.
But I wanted to be a better player to take that challenge on again. Like that attack. I'd say Freddie was the hardest bowler I faced.
Really?
I played 12 tests against him. He never got me out. He was the hardest bowler I faced. I found him so difficult.
I was told that to face, he just had a really heavy ball.
Mate, it hit your bat so hard. And I was the player I liked to get forward, especially if I was trying to dominate. He kept pushing me back. His height, his angle into a right-hander, the length. I never felt like you could get on the front foot.
But Freddie had Freddie, a good friend of mine, and he just had a mindset of, we were going to beat you.
Man.
And
he had Warney. Freddie had Warney in him.
Yeah. And
that aggressive.
So did Kevin Peterson.
KP had the exact same thing.
That was his coming of age series. Yeah. But I knew Kevin well at the time, and he's still a very good friend of mine. And he just had a mindset. And I remember when he smacked McGrath into the Lord's Pavilion at the Lord's Test, and that was a moment where everybody went, "Holy, who's this kid?" Right? And the way he was
charging Gillespie,
swatting Shane over into deep mid-wicket and big sixes.
I know.
Swatting Brett. I saw Brett the other day, swatting him off his eyebrows.
Yeah.
But that takes a confidence. And it was funny. I remember just before Brett spread eagle my ribs in Melbourne, which we can come to. But I remember the change in Mitchell Johnson from when we had back-to-back Ashes.
Yeah.
You'd lost in England.
2013. So
you'd lost here and really didn't play well.
Yeah.
And then we went very arrogantly to Australia thinking, well, more of the same players.
Yeah.
Harmison bowled that terrible wide, which was a shame. He was such a brilliant bowler. But that set a bad tone for that series. And then you demolish us. But I met a guy by pure chance from the Australian SAS. I don't know, do you know this story?
Yeah.
That Mitchell Johnson spent 2 weeks with the SAS.
Yeah.
And he said they instilled in him the 4 Cs. I can remember some of them. Some are not for broadcast. But it was courage, confidence, conviction, I think, and then CUNT. And he said, without the last one, in other words, that thing about you where you're just got a bit of this. And he said the difference, watching Mitchell Johnson bowling in the second Ashes series that year compared to the first one, chalk and cheese. Chalk and cheese.
And it's
I was there. It was the only Ashes I watched in Australia. Watching Mitchell Johnson at the MCG, it was, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Ferocious. Like nothing I'd ever really...
When he got it right, he was as nasty. And again, I think the one thing about Mitch that... Mitch... I would advise no one to fight Mitchell Johnson. Like, he knows how to fight.
Yeah.
He has that toughness in him, and he knows what to do. His wife Jess is black belt taekwondo as well. So that side of Mitch, he had the toughness to hurt someone if he wanted to. There was times on a cricket field at the start of his career where I think the other thing I loved about Mitch was he was a soft soul.
Yeah.
Such a soft soul. But trying to get that balance right took time for Mitch. And in that last series against England, when we did have the Jimmy Anderson, I'm going to break your arm, Mitch got that inside him where he knew his role, he knew his job, and he had that thing you talk about when you can bowl that fast, and if you got that...
Terrifying.
It is actually like facing it. It was like Shoaib Akhtar.
Yeah.
Shoaib, and I say this gently because obviously losing, one of my best mates in Phillip Hughes, you look at things differently now, but a big part of cricket was putting fear into a batsman. And the best fast bowlers, they did it. You needed it. It pushed you back, made you a little uncertain. Mate, Shoaib, as quick as he bowled, it was what he would say to you. He wasn't there to get you out at stages. Mitch found that, and wow, devastating.
Well, you are talking to one of the few amateurs that has faced a bowler at that speed.
I was going to say, actually, I reckon we've got to redo it. I reckon
trying to kill me.
Brett Lee did try and kill it, but I remember I sent you a message saying, have a look at that footage. Brett Lee's, and I love Binger.
Massive no balls.
Mate, we imagine facing that every day at training. That was the only thing
I said to him,
you could say to Binger.
We got reunited at Lords, and I said, mate, if you had bowled from 22 yards,
I would have smashed
I'd
it.
have spanked it.
What a surprise you said that to him. I'm saying, are you coming to Australia this summer?
I'm trying to get out of that. I want to get out.
Mate, we are finding round 2. Not Brett,
No.
we're finding round 2.
No
you in the
question.
nets. Got it.
No question.
Mitchell Johnson. Let's get Mitch. Let's get in Perth. Mitchell Johnson
What
in
about
the
Nathan
nets.
Lyon?
Yeah.
Let me give Lyon a tank.
Spinners. Oh my God. How do you see that? Well, again, we do. We sit in this test series between England and India.
Yeah, great series.
I think it's surprised everyone.
Yeah.
I think with Rohit Sharma retiring, Virat Kohli retiring, new young captain coming in. Because I was in India at the time it happened. I interviewed Rohit actually a week before he announced his retirement. Completely opposite. He was pumped to go to England. He was looking forward to captaining. So whatever's happened there, he's changed his mind, or Indian cricket's changed their mind. I think from India's perspective, there was a big unknown. I don't think anybody really expected India to come and compete as well as they did. But I think the series has been great for Test cricket.
Brilliant.
Even today, really.
Brilliant.
Today's defining.
Anything could happen today.
Mate.
But I think, I actually think England will win today. But I think
England sits in prime position right now. I think last night.
what we really want is Jofra steaming in.
Oh man, how good is it?
So that you lot back home again.
But I love it.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And I got to be honest, when I look at the England squad to come to Australia, if you've got Jofra in the squad, doesn't have to play every test, and Wood in the squad,
Yeah, and they play
it's a different
alternate
series.
tests. If you've got one of them firing
It's a different series.
Because
The other thing as well, Stokesy bowling.
Yeah, tremendous.
I feel like Stokesy's bowling at the moment because he's not getting the runs he wants with the bat, so he feels like, right, I've still got to have
he's bowling as
impact.
well as I've seen him for years.
Mate, even that last ball last night, that's Stokesy at his best. Good pace.
And by the way, when
looks
it comes to
smooth.
the Ashes, I mean, I look at the ICC world rankings for batsmen. I don't see any Aussies in the top 2.
Well,
I just see 2 Englishmen.
But even on that, as much as I do want to sledge you back, I can't disagree. I think that's our concern at the moment.
Yeah.
Look,
Your top order in particular looks very vulnerable.
I still think Marnus will be in our top 6. And I still think Marnus is a very good player, but I would need Marnus to change his attitude back to how he started his career. I bat to score runs. I don't bat to survive. We need Smitty in good form. I think you got those 2 at 3 and 4. You got a really strong foundation. Cameron Green is very talented, but we need him bowling. I think he's bat bowl field. Our concern really is our 2 openers.
Yeah.
Because if you're 2 for against England, you're under pressure.
And your wonder kid has turned out not to be so wonderful.
Oh, but he's got so far, he's got the talent. But
Well,
again,
I always
this
remember-
is what I think he should have played. He
Yeah.
should have played in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
He should have played a Test Championship. Now he's got Test match and West Indies. Now he's been able to play in 3 different countries, go through a bit of this roller coaster ride, and work out. Okay, I'm back in my home country. I know these conditions. If he makes 100 there,
I'm always reminded, or remind myself, if Steve Waugh took whatever it was, 29, 30 test innings
get his first 100.
to get his first 100.
Mate.
Sometimes you need patience. Alex Ferguson,
100%.
will always remind people it took him 5 years to win a trophy at Manchester United. Now he wouldn't get 5 years.
Yeah,
so
true.
everyone's become very impatient, both with cricketers, with football teams,
Yeah.
whatever. And
Well, I
actually,
think we're all in a
sometimes you need to give people a bit of time.
and you're playing in the Caribbean,
Yeah.
the conditions are completely opposite to Australia. That's why I think Sri Lanka would have been a good opportunity for him. Then come and play 1 test. Like it's 1 test match in England, but you've played a test match in England at Lords. You know, a ground that you're going to have to come and play an Ashes series here. If you're as good as what everyone thinks he's going to be, he's going to play a lot of cricket in England.
How many of the current Australia team do you think this will be their last Ashes?
If they win,
Khawaja? Lyon?
Khawaja definitely. Lino's a question mark. Lino because really he's only playing Test cricket.
Right.
I think our risk is. I think. Let's go. Khawaja, Smith, Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins, because they're all playing IPL and they can play T20 cricket. I think if we win, they could all go at the same time. So that's 5. And we're saying Lino's a question mark.
That's a big moment for you guys.
I think I actually think I've been trying to work out in regards to Australian cricket moving forward. do you really want us to win? Because you could lose 5 or 6 players. If you lose, they might still have that hunger for success and look for something else to look forward to. But this is part of where I think sport, and I would imagine business is no different, you fight to not lose everyone in one go.
Yeah.
So the conversation around Khawaja, I think, was a real one last summer. The conversation around, 2 Stark Hazelwood Cummins is a real one from Cricket Australia saying, okay, where do you sit personally? How do we try and plan this as well as we can? We'd love you to not go together. Can we separate, even if it's within 12 months, can we find...
But look, just to be clear, we want to retire half your team.
I have no doubt.
Right,
I have no doubt.
We want tears and retirement.
Oh, man.
Tears and retirement.
You know
bang,
what
bang,
I want?
Bang,
You
bang.
know what has changed in me? I want 3-2.
Really?
Of course I want 3-2 Australia. When I played, I wanted 5 zip.
Of course.
I did not want to lose a session, let alone a test match. It was like that feeling.
I think if Wood and Archer are fit, I think it's going to be a brilliant series.
I couldn't agree more.
Because our batting, I mean, we've got some fantastic batsmen now. I mean, Root,
Is
Brook.
Crawley right at the top?
Well, that's the big question mark. I mean, the thing about Crawley is, when he gets going, he looks
He's good.
fantastic.
He's got all the shots.
He's just at the moment, he's a bit out of sorts, and he doesn't average that high. But he's somebody that when he gets in, he looks a beautiful player.
Yeah.
Right, Duckett is on the form of his life.
And playing, like, again, he started with that whole Bazball attitude. The way I think he's playing good cricket.
Yeah.
I don't think
Harry
he's
Brook is a genius.
Yeah, he's a superstar. Yeah, I agree.
Joe Root is a machine. Stokesy's
Joe Root has never got 100 in Australia.
I know.
Is that true?
apparently.
When I heard that recently, I can't believe.
Well, here's a better thing.
Can't believe that.
Here are 4 people whose names have never got on the Lord's Honours Board, which is for taking
5 for or making 100.
or 100, right? Ricky Ponting, Brian Lara, Sachin Tendulkar, Jacques Kallis. None of them have ever scored 100 in a Lord's Test. You know who has? Gus Atkinson. As his dad reminded me the other day. And he's on twice for bowling.
Right.
Isn't that an amazing stat? None of those four ever made it on the Lord's Honours
And
Board.
I've got to say, as a player, it's you making 100 is special. You feel it when you walk it. You want 100 at Lord's.
Of course.
It is that special.
Of course.
And I've
you
got
must have got one. Yeah.
I've got no doubt Joe Root will make 100 in Australia. But for him to not have one, I couldn't believe it.
The other player you got to watch
What about your spinner?
Well, the spinner, look, he's...
In Australian conditions.
I think it's a really interesting question about what we do. There's a big debate about whether, because we don't have an obvious superstar
front-line spinner, yeah.
Would we be better in Australia taking someone like Jacob Bethel, who's obviously a dynamite young up-and-coming player, who can bowl a bit, as can Joe Root. I think we need to find a spinner that we're going to completely back. Now, is that Bashir? I don't know. I do worry about him a bit in Australia. Yeah. I think he could get spanked. Look, the truth, we don't actually have a world-class spinner. Australia have had Lyon and then before him Warney. Yeah. You know, for 30 years, you've had 2 of the best spinners in the world, right? It makes such a difference if you can just toss it to one of them for 40 overs.
It also lets your other bowlers, like your quicks, have a rest, especially like leading into a second new ball, even in the first inning, things like that. The only thing I say about spin that I think doesn't get spoken enough about is it changes the tempo of the game. So I always thought a spinner in your 11 was compulsory. Even, day 1, day 2 it mightn't spin. Australian conditions are like that. And as a batsman, you're looking to dominate. The spinner comes on, my brain's thinking, right, if I can dominate, the captain then has to bring a quick back a little earlier than he wants. 5 test series, he could bowl more overs, he could get injured. But I think there's still risk with that. You can bowl. He can bowl right arm round the wicket to the right-handers, attack the stumps, bowl that middle and leg line, protect one side of the ground. There's different ways.
The great West Indies teams through the 80s, they never had a spinner.
Viv bowled a few overs.
They didn't bother. They just had relentless pace. If you've got the pace,
different story.
I still think, I don't care which batsman you are in the world, once that ticker gets up to 93, 94,
it's not comfortable.
Right, Archer, the other day, he bowled the fastest spell he's bowled, even including the Smith-Labuschagne Lord's spell. The one he bowled the other day, the first spell, fastest he's bowled at Lord's. Right. So this is a guy who looks very fit to me, physically fit.
Yeah.
He may not be match fit, but I'm always a little bit like, I think people put too much of a premium on that. If you're a young, very physically fit guy, and you're coming in like he was at 93, 94 already, I'm very encouraged by that for the Ashes. Very encouraged.
The key now is to look after him, to get him.
Fit.
Yeah. And that's the hard thing when someone's doing so well, even from a captain's perspective, you want him to play.
Yeah.
It's like a spell. Someone's bowling well, I'll give him one more over. It's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
It's like 3 overs off.
Yeah.
Give him a 3 over spell, bring him back. Your body doesn't cool down enough in 3 overs. So it's going to be interesting. Tell me about Warnie, because I know you loved Warnie and you had an amazing friendship with him and he loved you as well. How did that friendship start, and what, I think I know why you two got on so well. You got a lot of similarities and I think, again, the love and respect for cricket was a big part of that friendship.
No question. I met Warnie, God, it must have been 25 years ago when he first came on the scene and he came to England. He used to be big friends with Kevin Peterson, and I got to know KP pretty well. So I met Warnie at a couple of events. I think he was a bit wary to start with. I was a tabloid editor. This is with Warnie.
Did have a great rep with
Warnie. It was a bit like Hannibal Lecter walking towards him. So, but then once we got to know each other, we just realised we got very similar, like shared love of cricket, shared love of having a laugh, shared love of
didn't mind a beer.
Didn't mind a beer. Loves. Warnie was the best storyteller.
Yeah.
And I interviewed him. In the end, I interviewed him for GQ magazine in the early 2000s. And I remember I went to somewhere it was some weird motel in Birmingham. Terrible a place. And he
would have been Mal Mason.
Something.
It was like dark,
terrible.
red and black.
Whatever it was,
Mal
it was a terrible little motel thing. And I interviewed him in his room, right?
Wow.
And I remember thinking, wow, the life of a superstar cricketer. But it was such a great interview. I read it the other day again, and it was so great. And after that, we just became better and better friends. And then obviously we loved golf as well. Yeah. And we used to meet up at the Dunhill Links Pro-Am and stuff. But he was just really kind. Even early on, he took I went to, I think it was the 09 Ashes, and he said, do you want to come and have a look up at the commentary? And he just took me up there with my boys. And maybe it was a bit later, but whichever one it was, my young sons came up. And he was so generous. He had about an hour with him. Yeah. And he just took time to show the boys how everything was working. He just started the commentary, so whenever that was. Yeah. But I remember thinking, God, you're a big-hearted guy. And the thing about Warnie, you were either out of his world or you were completely in it. Yeah. And if you were in it, as you know, he was the most loyal guy. If you ever asked him for anything, the answer was always yes. Yeah. And there aren't many people like that who have been as big a sport as he's been. And even in the week before he died, it was obviously a horrible shock for everyone. Yeah. And I was in Australia, but just before, and I was going to promote my Uncensored show, which was going to be on Sky News Australia,
which is rocking as well. I've got to say, I love it.
That's fun, mate.
I was watching Jake Paul.
Yeah, Jake Paul.
He just storms off. And mate, why did you come on my program? Mate,
I'm just winding you up.
It was so good.
I put the old rod out and he was real.
He took it,
but Warnie, he was. I was in 2022. This wasn't it? And I was in Sydney and he was in Melbourne, and we were going to meet up. I was going to fly to Melbourne. We were going to have a golf afternoon and dinner and have a really big night together. And then it was just terrible weather. It was raining the entire time I was there, so we cancelled it because of the weather. Yeah. And then the Russian invasion of Ukraine happened. And Warnie messaged me about a column I'd written about it, saying, I totally agree with you, mate. He was really fired up about it. Yeah. And then we had, I think the last thing we ever texted each other about was a debate about whether Vegemite was better than Marmite.
Oh my God.
And he was like, no, mate. He said, bloody Marmite gets too thick in your teeth. Gets stuck in your teeth. The Vegemite, much smoother on my teeth.
He would know.
That was the last conversation we had.
He studied them both, let me tell you.
So we had this sort of random series of conversations. And then I got back here, and then literally almost as soon as I got back, I got a message from someone in the morning saying Shane Warner's passed. And I was like, what are you talking about? The guys... And it was a gut punch. I mean, for everyone here, Warnie has so many friends, but everywhere that I go now, like whether it's a Lord's Test, whether it's the Dunhill Links Pro-Am, whatever it is where he would normally be the life and soul, there's just a little spark missing.
Yeah, of course.
Which you'll never replicate, because you can find people like Warnie.
Yeah. He's like music at a party.
Yes.
Like anytime he walked in, I felt like he was like music at the music turned on. When he walked into a room, like you noticed.
The last Dunhill I went to with Warnie, So it would have been 2021, and I'll never forget this. He qualified for the last day, so the top 20 Pro-Am pairs get through to the Super Sunday.
Yeah.
And he hadn't done it, I think he'd maybe done it once before. He always played with Ryan Fox, the Kiwi. They were great mates. And they qualified for the last day. So Warney being Warney decided that rather than have an early night, it was the gala dinner night.
Got to celebrate.
Oh my God. So I had long COVID, as did Ian Beaufort. So we weren't really drinking. We had really bad long COVID.
Yeah.
Couldn't drink, couldn't no taste, no smell, nothing. So we shuffled off to bed about midnight and we passed Warney. And he was like, "Where are you two lightweights off to?" Blah, blah, blah.
He would have been offended that you were going to bed.
Next thing I hear him say to the waiter, "Can you bring me a vodka Red Bull every 7 minutes till I fall over?" This is a bloke who's got his big day the next day.
He plays his best.
It gets better. So then we go off to bed. I wake up and on the group WhatsApp chat, there are a video of him at 3:30.
This is not the
Satisfaction.
Oh, no.
So Satisfaction, he's playing the Mick Jagger role on stage. I can't get which anyone knows Warney was. That was not true. And he then goes to bed. I think about 5:30. There are some more pictures of an indoor cricket match going on.
That's the video I remember seeing.
I think it was 5:30.
Yeah.
So whatever time he went to bed, he must have had 2 hours sleep. He goes out and he shoots the best round of his entire life. I think he actually got a gross score as good or better than his pro Ryan.
Unbelievable.
And they came within one shot of winning the Dunhill Pro-Am, right? And I said to him, "Mate, how on earth have you done this, given the state you're in?" He went, "Mate," he said, so I said, "If you want to know what separates the men from the boys in international league sport, it's being able to do that." And I was laughing. Anyway, the really poignant...
Athlete right there.
Yeah, exactly. But the really poignant thing was that the next year, Ryan Fox, without shame for the first time, he won the Dunhill Links, the pro tournament.
Amazing.
And it was a very emotional thing because it was the first year he'd been without Warney. But it's Warney is just a completely unique character.
One of a kind.
I've never met anyone that you could say is like Shane Warne.
Yeah.
But it's just one of the best mates you could ever wish to have. And I don't by any means claim to be one of his best mates, but we just got on very well.
Yeah,
but everyone who knew him well loved him.
He was 100%. I feel like it was what you said was spot. If he didn't like you, he hated you.
Yes.
And made it very obvious to everyone. Like, wouldn't stand in the same room as people he didn't like. If he liked you, he loved you.
Yeah.
I never met someone. The one thing he does that has stuck with me. A million things have stuck with me. One thing that has stuck with me is Warney was as busy as anyone I knew.
Yeah.
But if you sent him a message, he would always reply.
Always.
And you hear people say now, I haven't got time, or I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to see him. I'm like, mate, Warney was as busy a person as anyone I met. If he had time to reply, we've all got time to reply. There's not an excuse for that.
The last time I saw him was in LA after the Dunhill Links, and I got a place in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
I got a text, "Mate, are you in Beverly Hills?" I went, "Yeah, I am." He went, "Do you want to come and meet me at the Beverly Hills Hotel?" I went, "Sure, it's 5 minutes from my house." The next thing, we're in the Polo Lounge at the Beverly Hills Hotel. I think we got a couple of cigars out, we're having a couple of drinks, vodka Red Bulls, obviously.
As you do.
I mean, we're just laughing about life and everything, and he was just so full of life. And it was only a few months before he died. It was one of the saddest things.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Tell me about this. So Ashes series, England v Australia in Australia. I'm assuming you're picking England to win. What's your score?
Well, it's going to be very tough. I think the first test is absolutely crucial.
First test is Perth.
Yes, which is really interesting. So it's a different order. I think if England can win in Perth, which I think we can, if we can win in Perth, then it's game on.
You give your team confidence.
Yeah, I don't think every game's going to get a result. I think there'll be some draws in there, but I'm going quietly confident 2-1 England.
Okay.
But if we get on the back foot, we lose in Perth,
well, and
then we lose the second.
Yeah, you could lose 5. If you lose the first test, because this is, I reckon, Perth, Optus Stadium, of the last probably 5 or 6 years, I think they've been leaving a lot of... You've seen 3-day test matches. So that could play into England's favour and go, we're just going to start with no spinner.
Yeah.
We're comfortable bowling first.
Yeah.
Like those sort of things, I reckon, could fall into their favour for the first test match. So I'm surprised they've changed it, or they haven't gone back to the normal structure to take any advantage you can.
But I think that first test is crucial.
Is everything.
If we lost the first one and struggled in the second, it could be awful. I don't think it will be. I think that Stokes has got such grit, mental strength, and the team have such self-belief. They're not going to go there with any fear at all.
Timid. Yeah, okay.
So if they play their natural game, I think a few players like Jamie Smith is going to be crucial.
Yeah.
He is the best new discovery.
Yeah.
Him and Brooke. Jamie Smith, it could be our Gilchrist. He's that good.
Well, that batting the other day,
Yeah.
I think his keeping's been very good.
Very good.
I hadn't seen him bat like that.
He's a fantastic
Brilliant
player.
100.
So we're
And he's
very
turned that
excited
team
by
under
him.
pressure, yeah.
But as you know from when Gilly was doing his thing, if you've got someone who can bat that well and hold the gloves coming in at 7,
Change your game.
it's a game changer for years.
Yeah.
So I think Smith could be that for us.
Favourite city in Australia?
Funny enough, I'd say Melbourne.
Yeah, okay.
Funny enough, I do like Sydney a lot.
Yeah.
But there's something very special about Melbourne. I love Melbourne.
Could you live in Australia?
Do you know what? It's funny when I love Australia, and although I wouldn't admit it in Ashes, I love Australia.
This is the last day.
Well, I love Australians remind me of me. They're a bunch of gobby people who say what they're thinking and they're not afraid to express opinions. So I love that.
Yeah.
We have the same humour. But when you're there, I don't know if you find it when you're here, but you feel like you're a million miles from home. The time difference, everything. And I'm not sure I could.
Yeah, we are. You are.
Yeah.
It is
and
so
I'm not
far
sure.
away.
Even when I lived in LA for a few years, when I worked at CNN, I found living away from England with that time difference difficult.
Yeah.
I don't think I could really live in Australia. But I would love to go there more.
See, I say that about here.
Yeah.
I could do 3 months a year in London, in the UK, easily.
Yes.
Summer is amazing.
Yes.
You've got all sport here.
Yes, I agree.
I think just the attitude of people when the sun's out, the culture is. The culture is what I remember as a kid growing up in Australia. Sitting at a pub with my old man, guys having a beer outside. Like it's a really.
Also, we had better
good
weather than
culture.
you. I mean, I was in Sydney.
Well, this week,
Sydney in
this week's been
2022.
phenomenal.
I was there in February.
Yeah.
In February. It
rained every day.
It rained all day. Every day for 10 days.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be there 2 weeks. I went home early.
I'd like to
I
think.
came back for the good weather
I'd
in February.
like to think that's not our consistent summer, but it happens. Tell me your favourite. You mentioned Sir Donald Bradman would be the interview that you wish you could do. Who has been your favourite person to interview? Because again, I thought about today and thought, I should go and do some research. As soon as I started, I was like, there is nothing, and you might correct me if I'm wrong. There is nothing you haven't done, apart from beat the Aussies in National Series.
there are very few people that I have not interviewed yet that I really want to.
Yeah.
I've been incredibly lucky.
Have you interviewed Michael Jordan?
No, he's one.
Okay.
Michael Jordan, I would love to interview. I mean, I've interviewed Cristiano Ronaldo twice.
Yeah.
He's hardly given any interviews. They were amazing interviews.
Yeah.
And what an incredible athlete. I've interviewed Michael Phelps. So again, from a sporting perspective.
Wow.
I remember Phelps telling me
23 gold, Phelpsy?
20
22 gold,
21 maybe?
Yeah, okay.
21.
Crazy.
I interviewed him before the London Olympics in 2012. I interviewed all the American athletes because I was at CNN in America, and I interviewed them all in Atlanta in one day. And he was the last one to come through. And I remember it because he turned up yawning, he was bored, he didn't want to do it. And I said, why are you doing it if you don't want to do it? Before we went on air, he went, I have to, mate, I'm contracted. He said, just get it. I said, well, how can I make it interesting? He said, well, ask me something I haven't been asked before. I went, fair enough. So when we sat down in front of the cameras, I went, Michael, how many times have you been properly in love?
First question. Yeah, take that back. Don't ask me that.
So that woke him up. But then I said, okay, what makes you so much better than any other swimmer that's ever lived?
Yeah.
But also so much better statistically than any of your colleagues?
Yeah.
He said, well, look, go back and interview everyone you've interviewed today, or go back and interview all my rivals in the pool.
Yep.
And just ask them one question. Have you ever gone 5 years without a single day off training? He said, because I did that.
Yeah,
And he said, that's 365 a year.
Wow.
It's 6 hours on average training, in the pool, out of the pool.
Never missed a day.
He said, so forget birthdays, weddings, funerals, christenings, mum's birthdays, girlfriend's birthdays. He said, forget all of that. For 5 years, I just did that. And I said, and what was the motivation that got you every day to do that? He went, because when I stood in the Olympics, say, and I was standing at the edge of the pool ready to start, I'd look left and I'd look right. And I would look at them and they'd look at me, and everybody knew I'd had 1 day extra a week for a year. Wow. So that's 52 extra days a year, which over a 4-year Olympic training cycle is 208 days extra training. 2/3 of a year more training than they'd done. And he said, and I was probably already the best swimmer. So he said,
add that to it.
He said, no, think about what that mentally does to your opponents. It was fascinating. And then
apart from he's extremely gifted, like he was a freak.
Incredible swimmer anyway.
Yeah.
But you add that work ethic, that mental strength. When Cristiano Ronaldo did the same thing, and I told Ronaldo that.
Is he your favourite footballer?
Yeah, look, I'm an Arsenal fan.
Oh, of course.
The most heartbreaking.
The world knows you're an Arsenal fan.
The most heartbreaking thing about the first Ronaldo interview, because we became mates, and we are good friends now. It's really weird, but I don't know why. We just are. And he contacted me out of the blue about the crime documentaries. I used to make a lot of crime. I used to interview serial killers and stuff, and he loved them. Yeah. And he messaged me on Instagram, and he was the most followed person in the world ever on Instagram. So it was like quite a weird moment. Yeah. Next thing, he called me the next day. We talked about crime, and in the middle of that call, he said, "By the way, I nearly joined Arsenal." I went, "When?" And when he was an amazing story. So when he was 18, he was the wonder kid from Portugal, but no one knew a lot about him. Yeah. And Arsene Wenger had identified him and was trying to buy him for £8 million, which for an 18-year-old kid was a lot of money back in the early 2000s. But he was in for him. And then Manchester United played Sporting Lisbon in a summer friendly. Yeah. And Ronaldo terrorised John O'Shea, the centre-back for United, so badly that at half-time, a delegation of United players, led by Rio Ferdinand, went to Alex Ferguson, their boss, and said, "Boss, you cannot leave here until you sign this kid."
You were joking.
Ferguson stayed behind. They all went off on the bus. He stayed behind, and he did the deal and bought him for 12 million before he even left Portugal. And that's how they got Ronaldo. Went to United. But without that, he was about to sign for Arsenal.
Imagine that.
So I think he's my favourite footballer ever. But if you talk Arsenal, then there's a list. I mean, Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira, Ian Wright, Robert Pires. I mean, of the current team, I look at them and I look at Saka as going to be, I think, an all-time great for Arsenal. We got a great team everywhere. Actually, Declan Rice has been one of my favourite signings we've ever made. I think this kid Gyökeres from Sporting Lisbon, I think is going to turn out to be a great striker. So I've got big hopes. This transfer window is going very, very well. If we get all these players over the line, Arsenal will be.
Are they your two sports, you think? If you had to think, because I think
football and cricket.
Growing up as a kid, that was rugby league was my winter sport. Cricket was my
football and cricket. And in fact, I was thrilled that Chelsea won this Mickey Mouse competition last night in America, but Trump turned up, and obviously Donald Trump and I have been friends for a long time, 20 years. And I noticed that someone asked him, is it time for an executive order to change the name of soccer in America to football? And he went, you know what, that may be a good idea. Thank you, Mr. President. Because it really annoys me they try and claim
we're still in Australia. Football. I think in Australia generally...
It's still the Socceroos, right?
You still call football soccer, but you ask any footballer and they say, football. Michael, it is football.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, wow. It's because we got rugby league, rugby union, AFL. Yeah. And we call all three football. Very rarely do you say, unless you're talking to somebody you think, like confirming the code, you say rugby or rugby league or AFL.
I was going to ask you a question. What's it like being an ex-Australian cricket captain in Australia? How do you get treated generally as a genre?
I don't see. I think there's. I feel like there's a. I feel like there's a hidden respect if you play sport at the highest level in a country that loves sport. So what I mean by that, people will come and say hello or be polite or can have a photo and things like that. But I don't feel there is any difference to anyone else.
Really?
I feel in India, definitely.
Yes.
India, I think it is very much, not necessarily captaining Australia, but playing cricket for Australia. I think there's a huge emphasis put on that, to the extent like they will close. I visited the Taj Mahal years ago. They closed the Taj down until I walked in and went out.
Oh, right. So for visiting Australians?
Things like that.
I thought you meant for Indian players. Oh, right.
Indian players, Indian players, you
they can't go out, right?
We couldn't sit here with Virat Kohli or Sachin Tendulkar and anybody else be in the restaurant. Yeah. They'll close the restaurant. Or they'll certainly put them in a closed
room. But they show that kind of respect for visiting captains. Honestly, really amazing.
Out of control. Like, it's so respectful. But even that, look, I think society in India versus Australia is very different. I think we are built on middle class. So if you wanted to go to, you pick a bar you want to go to, I pick a bar, anyone can go there. So I think I the only thing that I've always said about Australia is I hate the tall poppy syndrome. I hate the fact that we can't allow people to achieve the top of their field and we overly support them or be overly proud and idolise them or look up to them. I feel like we have to, we fight to drag them down. And I think the UK was when I first come to England, I found, the media here was so hard. Same thing,
Not as bad now.
Nowhere near as bad now. Well, I think Australian media is tougher now than what it is in the UK. And I know that's part and parcel, but I think there's a balance. I think there's, I don't know, I like being inspired or inspiring other people. I think that's such a wonderful part of life. And we all have people we look up to, or envy. Like there's a difference between envy and jealousy. I feel like we don't allow that. I feel like we straight away go, we've got to be jealous because they make more money than us, or they are gifted something more. Like I don't know. I think Australia, that balance isn't as nice as I would like it to be. So that's why I love travelling. That's why I feel like sometimes going to places like India allows you to, you might feel a little more respected, or they seem a little more grateful for what you've done for the game of cricket, But I do like the freedom of walk down the street, sit in a bar, pick a restaurant. In Australia, you go anywhere you want. You don't have to worry about that. You don't feel you're part of 24 million. You're not special. So I don't know, but I love coming here. This is the first Test match. I went to day one. This is the first day's cricket I've watched since I retired.
Really?
Without working.
Really?
Like if I'm commentating.
Funny enough, I saw Brett Lee and he was saying the same thing. He wasn't doing any work on one of the days, just enjoying the day.
And I wanted the two tests I want to watch. I want to watch Test cricket at Lords and I want to go and watch a Test match at Adelaide.
Yeah.
They're the two tests that when I played, I want to watch.
I want to go to Adelaide simply because of my old relationship with Bradman.
Don Bradman, yeah.
I would love to do that one day.
And I think Ashes, the day-night test might be Brisbane test, which is disappointing because I reckon Adelaide test has to be day-night test.
Yeah, I agree.
It's suited. The atmosphere, it's like Melbourne Cup. Like there's a party out the back, there's cricket out the front.
Yeah.
It's Melbourne do it really well with the races.
Yeah.
But I can't thank you enough for your time, mate. Honestly,
great to see you.
Thank you for what you have done for cricket. I do mean that. You keep, in your world, in your field, you keep cricket loud and proud. And I think that's, one of the things that we probably don't appreciate enough. You put cricket on a pedestal, and for past players, current players, I think we should thank people like you. So thank you.
Well, the good thing is that when I rinse the Aussies, I do
which you will. I
do it on X to nearly 9 million people.
That's exactly right. Very true. We know it, we hear it, we read about it.
And trust me, in a few months' time, there's going to be some rinsing. Right. There is going to be some rinsing.
I'm organising
Mitchell
Johnson in Perth, you in the nets. I'm getting that sorted. Thank you, mate.
Great to see you.
Awesome. Thanks,
All the best, mate.
Appreciate it.